They thought they were picking on an easy target, a quiet old man on a bus. What they didn't know was that he was a battle-hardened Vietnam veteran with lessons they'd never forget. It was another day on the 5:15 bus, heading toward downtown Baltimore. The air inside was stuffy, packed with commuters eager to get home. Conversations buzzed softly, mingling with the occasional screech of brakes. Near the front, an elderly man, Isaac, settled into his seat. His hands, worn with age, rested atop a cane that seemed as old as he was. His clothes were simple, a well-worn jacket and neatly pressed slacks, reflecting someone who valued dignity over appearance. No one paid much attention to Isaac at first. He blended into the everyday scenery, his posture straight, his gaze steady. A life that had seen its share of storms was written in the faint crease in his brow. 3 seats back, a group of teenagers boarded, laughing loudly as they scanned the bus for their next source of entertainment. One boy, Aaron, caught sight of Isaac. His eyes lit up, not with respect, but with mischief. He nudged his friends, whispering something that set off a chorus of snickers. Isaac remained still, looking out the window as the city streets blurred past. If he heard their murmurs, he gave no sign. The boys weren't satisfied with just whispers. They wanted a reaction. "Hey, old man!" Aaron called out, his voice cutting through the hum of the bus. "You lose your walker or something? Bet you're waiting for someone to carry you home, huh?" A ripple of tension passed through the bus. Some passengers glanced at the boys, others at Isaac. Most, however, kept their heads down, pretending not to hear. Isaac shifted slightly in his seat, but said nothing. His eyes remained fixed on the world beyond the glass. Aaron smirked, emboldened by the lack of resistance. He stood up, swaying slightly as the bus hit a bump. "What's wrong? Cat got your tongue, Grandpa." Isaac's fingers tightened imperceptibly around his cane, but his expression remained calm. His eyes flickered with something, patience perhaps. He turned his head slowly, meeting Aaron's gaze, and in that brief moment, something shifted. There was no anger in his look, no fear, just quiet, unyielding strength that seemed to settle the air around him. Aaron hesitated, his pride refusing to let him stop now. The bus continued to rattle down the road, passengers silent and tense, as if waiting for something to happen. Little did they know, Isaac's silence wasn't weakness. It was a choice that would soon change everything. The laughter from the teenagers grew louder, bouncing off the walls of the bus as if demanding attention. "What's the matter, old man? Too good to talk to us?" Aaron jeered, drawing a chuckle from his friends. "Probably can't hear us. You need a hearing aid too?" Isaac remained seated, his cane resting between his knees. His face betrayed no emotion. His hands tightened slightly around the wood. He glanced briefly at the floor, grounding himself in the present moment. The other passengers shifted uncomfortably. A woman near the front shot a wary look at the teenagers, but quickly returned to her phone. A man in a gray suit adjusted his tie and buried himself deeper into his newspaper. No one wanted to get involved. Aaron smirked at the silence. "Look at him," he said to his friends. "Dude probably thinks he's too good for us. You some kind of king or something?" One of his friends, a stocky boy named Mason, joined in. "Yeah, you gonna knight us with that cane, Grandpa." Their laughter grew louder, encouraged by Isaac's silence and the passengers' refusal to intervene. Isaac's gaze shifted slightly, his head tilting as if recalling a distant memory only he could see. "Say something," Aaron demanded, his tone now edging into irritation. "Or are you scared?" The bus lurched to a stop at a red light, the sudden jolt silencing the chatter momentarily. Isaac finally spoke, his voice low but firm. Respect is a lesson some people only learn the hard way. The words were simple, but they carried weight. The teenagers exchanged glances, unsure of how to respond. Aaron quickly recovered, masking his unease with bravado. "Oh, So he talks now. Aaron sneered. Respect, huh? That's rich coming from someone who's too scared to stand up for himself. Isaac turned his head slightly, his eyes narrowing as he locked eyes with Aaron. You think strength is loud, don't you? You have no idea what strength looks like. The bus fell into a tense silence. The teenagers were visibly unsure now. The light turned green, and the bus jerked forward, its passengers swaying with the motion. Aaron leaned over Isaac, his posture attempting to intimidate. Why don't you show us then? Let's see how strong you are. Isaac sighed, a long, measured exhale, as if preparing himself for what was to come. His eyes flickered toward Aaron, calm and unreadable. In that silence, his experience seemed to fill the entire bus. 40 years ago, Isaac had been knee-deep in the humid swamps of Vietnam. The roar of helicopters, the sharp staccato bursts of gunfire, all were still vivid in his memory. Survival wasn't a choice, it was instinct. He had been barely more than a boy, but war had aged him fast. He remembered the faces of his brothers in arms, some now gone, their memories living on in fragments, like the sound of their laughter during quiet nights in camp. The bus jolted over a pothole, snapping Isaac back to the present. His grip on the cane tightened. Anger didn't come easily to him anymore. What he felt was something deeper, a responsibility to teach these boys a lesson they hadn't yet learned. Aaron broke the silence with a sharp laugh. What's the matter, Grandpa? Cat got your tongue again? Isaac didn't respond. Instead, he watched Aaron with a calmness that unnerved him. The bus continued its journey, the air thick with tension. You remind me of someone I used to know, Isaac finally said, his tone carrying an edge. Aaron snorted. Yeah? Your old war buddy? Isaac leaned back slightly, his gaze unwavering. Number A young soldier who thought he was untouchable. He learned otherwise. Aaron's smirk faltered, his friends falling silent. Isaac continued, his voice soft but heavy with experience. Careful, son. Sometimes stories are all that keep you from making the same mistakes. Aaron stepped closer, now inches from Isaac. You think you're so wise, huh? Prove it. Isaac's eyes narrowed, preparing for what was to come. He adjusted his cane slowly, every movement deliberate. Strength isn't about being loud, Isaac said, his voice low but firm. It's about restraint. You think you're strong because you yell, but it's not strength, it's fear. Fear that the world will see you for what you really are. Aaron's bravado began to falter. He clenched his fists, but didn't move. Isaac continued, his words slicing through the tension. You see this cane? Isaac gestured. It's not just a stick. It's a reminder of battles fought, not with fists, but with courage, discipline, and honor. Things you wouldn't understand because you've never had to earn them. Aaron's hands shook. His confidence was shattered, but he refused to back down. Isaac leaned forward slightly, his voice unwavering. Do you know what it's like to watch your friends die so you can live? To carry their memory with you every single day, knowing you owe them more than you can ever repay? The words hit harder than any punch could have. Aaron blinked, unable to respond. His friends shifted uncomfortably, their laughter fading. A young man sitting near the back spoke up. Vietnam, right? He asked, his tone tentative. Isaac nodded. Yes. My grandfather served there, the young man said. He never talked much about it, but when he did, his voice trailed off. Thank you for what you did, the young man added, sincerity in his voice. Isaac nodded. We all gave something, some of us more than others. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. The bus grew quieter, the tension from earlier replaced by reflection. As the bus slowed to its next stop, the teenagers looked at each other, the weight of Isaac's words hanging over them. Aaron hesitated before muttering an apology. I'm sorry. We shouldn't have said those things, he said. Isaac gave a small nod. Respect isn't something you give just because someone demands it. It's something you give because it's the right thing to do. The bus rolled on, the passengers lost in thought. Isaac remained standing for a moment before rising to his feet. As he exited, he turned back to the bus. "Kindness and respect cost you nothing," he said. "But withholding them can cost you everything." With that, he stepped off the bus, his presence lingering long after the door closed behind him. The bus continued on its route, its passengers reflecting on the lesson they had just witnessed. The teenagers, their bravado gone, exited silently, their heads down. The bus remained quiet, as if everyone on board had just shared something important. Respect isn't earned through fear or intimidation. It's earned through understanding and compassion,